Well, hello there, and welcome back to the very latest episode of my Love Machine podcast. Now, today I have got a fascinating topic for you that I know many of you are really going to enjoy. We're going to be talking about all the perils and all the terms of modern day dating. The world has changed so much in the last few years. There are so many things that you may have heard of, like love bombing. There's ghosting, but now there are so many other terms as well. We've got woke fishing, we've got soft launching, pocketing, weird and wonderful things. Every single week, someone terms a different dating situation. So, to help me discuss this, I've got the wonderful Danni Seddon. Now, Danni is the host of her own podcast called Call Me Sugar Baby, and she's also a coach and founder of Pure Nature UK. Danni, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And how are you?
I am very good, thank you. It's getting very dark here, but hopefully you can still see me for the purpose of this podcast.
Yes, definitely.
Wonderful. Now, we had a chat on the phone the other day for ages, and we discussed all these things. You told me your own dating stories you've been up to, and people that you've dated, and we thought what a great topic it would be to share some of these weird little terms and how dating has absolutely changed for better and for worse. And we're going to discuss that. So, first of all, can you tell everyone a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, of course. I have my own podcast called Call Me Sugar Baby. It was kind of designed or started on the purpose that there's a lot of things that we don't speak about freely. A lot of people speak about it behind closed doors. A lot of people don't go to their family, don't go to their friends, or it's very much men speak to men, women speak to women, and women over the years have been kind of called prudes and they don't talk about certain things, but trust us, we do. So it's just kind of an open space where we talk about everything, whether it's to do with kind of dating or all the way kind of up to the other end of kind of things that we don't discuss inside and outside of the bedroom. But it's just a fun space. My sister kind of joined me for a couple of them just to kind of discuss open spaces and kind of what her friends talk about and what we should be talking more of as well. So that's that kind of aspect. And then, yes, Pure Nature is just a safe space for people, anyone struggling with mental health. It's just about positivity and kind of enforcing that natural kind of space to promote positivity and promote mental health. It's everyone puts this burden on mental health that it's wrong to feel a certain way, and I'm just trying to kind of again talk about it more and make sure that people are speaking about it, and it's not something scary to think about, and it's not an issue. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
That's very much needed right now, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that sort of space. So your podcast is called Call Me Sugar Baby.
Yeah.
Have you been a sugar baby of some sort, can I ask?
No. So the reason behind that is especially through the pandemic, I must have received God knows how many messages from men and women asking if they could be my either sugar daddy or sugar mummy. So it became like this running joke with me and my friends thinking, I've had another one. Um, received not very nice pictures and then trying to entice me to then want to be their sugar baby. So it was kind of founded on that sense of that was kind of the first topic, people wanting to have sugar babies, people wanting to call them daddy, and how that kind of became about. So
I didn't realise that women wanted to do that as well, and they wanted to arrange sugar babies. Is that quite common?
I didn't think it was, and I now hear about it more so. It's more, it's not just men, and a lot more women also want to have sugar babies. So they want to look after them, they want to give them nice things, and they want to provide them with money for just speaking to them. It's bizarre. I did a kind of a Q&A yesterday, and I got asked by someone anonymously whether or not I could just sit with them for an hour on Zoom talking to them, and they'd pay me £100 an hour just talking about nothing. So it's a very strange world that we live in, and I think that also kind of ties in kind of with the whole dating and how that's gone and
Yeah,
why it's gone the way it's gone.
that's amazing. People pay me more money than that to talk to them for an hour on Zoom, but this is different. I'm giving them advice. Just
I,
thinking.
I don't do. I should. There's probably a market there, but no. I just yeah.
There
It's
must
it's
be.
strange place, a strange world, but it works for them, so that's good.
I remember when I first started being a dating coach, I found that I had a few male clients who weren't getting any success at all on the online dating sites. So I got them onto sugar baby websites
Yeah,
and making out that they're multi-millionaires, because what happens if the dynamic completely changes? These women were really up for this, thinking, well, this guy's got lots of money, I'm going to throw myself, I'd be really, really flirty. But it was a very, very seedy world. Because these women were saying, come and spend the weekend with me if you buy me an iPhone.
yeah,
or you pay for my car. And it's very murky water. So we got out of that very quickly.
yeah.
It's not.
Strange world. I think there are some people that just do it for company, and I think there's other people that try to make it something that it shouldn't be.
It is. It's a whole mixture. But
Yeah,
I haven't looked at one of those websites for about 12 years at least, I think now. But I'm sure they're still absolutely thriving. Sometimes they ask me to work with them, and that's the reason I was using it a long time ago. I wasn't actually using it, I should say. I was using it with my clients, not for me. Yeah, I don't think it really go down very well. But so tell me about yourself before we talk about dating and how the world has changed. Can I ask what your dating history is? You did tell me on the phone the other day, but I want you to just tell me on the live podcast.
my dating history is the nicest way of putting it. Not great. It's like a sinking ship, or it's sunk, and I'm very, very deep, deep in the ocean, probably so embedded in the sand that I don't know if I can come out. I've just got horror stories. I think the problem is today's modern world, as I discussed with you the other day, is very much a funnel of what's next, what's the best thing, and are they talking to that person, are they talking to that. You then finally meet someone, you then have to go through stages which we discussed. It's almost that you've got the swiping stage, the talking stage, the dating stage, which at that moment that person could be speaking to 20, 50, 100 other people. You've then got, after the dating stage, it's kind of the um, catching feelings, trying to understand their vibe. Then it's the situationship, which I love best. I hate it. It's not knowing whether you are together or you're not together. Are they with other people? Do you bring it up? And it's very much I was speaking to someone about it. It's that sense of, oh, are you seeing other people? Well, yes, because I haven't made it official with you. And then it's, you try and have that conversation about making it official. And that's when people step back. And I think I have been ghosted by more people than probably most. I don't understand if it's me doing something wrong. And then, funny enough, they do about 6 or 7 months come back saying, I am really sorry about ghosting you. I didn't mean to. It was just the situation. It was my headspace. It was this, this, and that. But it's still that process of, I've just wasted a couple of months trying to get to know someone, thinking I know them. And then suddenly something out of nowhere erupts, or they go off the face of the earth. I actually thought one time, it was a couple of years ago now, I genuinely thought this person had died because I couldn't find them. They'd come off complete social media. It was like they just wiped themselves off the face of the earth. And then 3 days later, they're like, oh, no, no, I'm fine. I just needed some time. And then
It's
2 days.
so disrespectful, isn't it? It's awful.
It is, and I've given up. I was telling my friend today about talking about my dating and talking about kind of the modern world dating, and he just laughed and he said, "Well, I'm in the same boat. I've given up as well." And it's just that same thing. I think a lot of people. I don't know if I'm showing my age, but I just look at how I used to date when I was in my teens, and I know it's teenagers, but it was just organic. It was nice. You got to know someone. You spent that time. You met their friends. You met their family. You dated. You were in a relationship. Now, most people don't even get to that stage, or if you do, within a couple of months, that stage kind of doesn't expire to anything, and then you're over, and then you have to go through that whole dating pool again. And it's just trying to have those conversations over and over again with hundreds of people, which you may or may not have any interest in. It's just because of the swipe, which is bizarre.
It's because the swiping is so addictive to many people who have
Yeah,
low self-esteem, and they feel the need to constantly get this buzz, an ego boost from just swiping every day. And when they get what they want and they get the relationship and they get their dream person, they think, this is lovely, but I need my fix again. I need to go back. Or it's got too comfortable now. I need to go and get some more excitement going on. That's what I think. Do you think it's okay for somebody to, in the early stages, to be dating other people, or at least going out on drinks and things like that?
Yes and no, depending on which stage you're at. So this, I think, is where there's kind of blurry lines. I think if you're talking to someone, and because I've had it in the past where someone's asked me, are you talking to anyone else? And I'll be honest and say, yes, I'm talking to
12 people.
yeah. I don't even have enough time to talk to one, let alone 12. But it's almost that sense of, if you're honest, it's fine. But then it's kind of having those honest conversations going, do you know what, actually, I don't feel you comfortable speaking to other people because we've now hit that next step. Yeah. But I feel like you can't have those conversations with people now. And even if you're in deep in a couple of months or 4 to 6 months, I've decided I'm not talking to other people and I'm not seeing other people. But have they? And can you approach it? And if you do approach it, do you then look like, and I have been called a psycho, or other people I know have been called psychos, because some people think it's what, and it's not just men, it is females too, and they do it vice versa. But it's it's a very blurry line, because back in the old day, when you go out, you start dating, you're dating that one person, you kind of want to get to know that one person. Now it's kind of acceptable to get to know as many people as you want. And it's not just dating sites. The problem is Instagram, TikTok, it's such a breeding ground for, oh, they're beautiful or they're good looking. Like, oh, let's send them a quick message, see if they're single. And it's then a whole nother avenue, a whole nother catalogue. And I think I refer it to as like an Argos catalogue. You know, when you were kids and you used to circle the Argos catalogues of what you wanted for toy.
Yeah, at Christmas and birthdays, yeah.
Exactly what dating is like today. It's almost like, I want everything. I'm going to circle what I want. Oh, I've got what I want. Oh, I need my fix again, like you said. And it's almost like then people go back onto it and try and find the next best thing. Oh, I like traits of her, but I don't like this about her. So I'm going to go and find a better version of her in someone else. But it's just a very, very strange concept of, and it's very blurry line, I think, today's dating.
It is. You mentioned the Argos catalogue. Now, if I was to compare my own dating life with that, when I was younger, you get the excitement for the dating catalogue, or the Argos catalogue that was coming out, excitement. But I used to think, I'm excited to see what comes next. But I also know the second that new catalogue comes out, all the prices are going to go up.
Yeah.
So you stick or twist, don't you? It's like dating. I think they're all going to go up in price. I might as well get what I want now and be done with it, rather than waiting for the next thing, because you might gamble on it and everything goes out of stock, or they double the price. So I think you're right, but I think it's the wrong mentality. But I do believe I tell all my clients in the early stages to explore your options, to go out there. All you've done is gone for a drink with someone. You don't owe them anything. How do you really know if someone's right for you? But so many people end up just becoming pen pals and texting each other for weeks and weeks and weeks before even meeting. Yeah. Have you had that before?
Yes, absolutely. And I've actually had to turn around and just go, are we meeting up? And they, oh yeah, I'm free next week, and then something happens. And I think I've had it before where it's a couple of months in and I'm thinking, there's really no point. We've had 3 months of talking every single day. I'm either busy or you're busy. And there's just, as sad as it is, because we do very much get along over text. If we're not going to meet in person, then you're never going to understand whether or not that person and you have that vibe or not. And I think that's a big aspect of it. And I do agree that you should explore and date to understand, because obviously sometimes you're lucky and you can speak to one person and you instantly get a click and perfect. But then there are other times where they may seem to be someone that they are not. And as we discussed the other day, the problem is with Tinder, Instagram even, but all dating sites, it's just a highlight reel of their best aspects. So you really need to kind of meet someone, get to know them on that kind of level. But speaking to someone just over text, you're not really going to get it.
You're not, and it goes on. I had a client today who messaged me actually on Instagram and said that they've been seeing someone. They had a couple of dates, went really, really well, but it's been 2 months since they actually met up. But they're still talking all the time, but they've both been really busy, and she's trying to drop hints to him to meet up again, and it's not happening. And so I wanted to reply to her. And for various reasons, I can't actually reply to her, but even though she's a client. But I said this to her, and I said, look, if he wants to make time for you, he will make time. And
Yes.
and if you're not sure what's going on, then you can ask him. Otherwise, you end up, like you said just now, in a situationship where you have not got a clue what's going on, where you stand, how many people that they're dating, are you even dating at all?
Hmm.
So I think the secret is to be clear right from the start and to go into it saying, I'm looking for something a bit more long term. How about you? And then before long, maybe 3 or 4 dates in, say, look, I know it's a bit of a big question, but where do you see this going? Do you think this is going to go the way you want it to go? And just
Yeah.
ask them that. Otherwise, you end up, as you said to me on the phone, months and months have gone by and you've not even met their parents or their family.
I was with someone for a year, and yeah, they didn't even know about me. So, but
Doesn't that tell you
I
all you need to know, though, in that situation?
seen that. But it is a very strange thing, and I think a situationship is hard. And I've had some people that have been very open and said, you know what, I did when I first came into this, and I could see a future with you, and I want, but now things have changed in my life, or etc. etc. So actually, that's fine. Be honest. I've had obviously other people that have said they don't want flings, they want a serious relationship. We've gone through this process. They've told me they're not seeing anyone else. So we spend multiple times together. And then we get to that point where we try and have that honest conversation. We have it, and then they ghost me. And it's a very strange dynamic, because it's almost like, is that because I'm very honest, so I don't think I could ghost people, because I just think if I don't like someone or I don't feel a vibe, I would rather someone know. Because the problem is with ghosting, as kind of with the whole side of the mental health thing, it does kind of affect you as a person, because it then starts playing on your insecurities, going, well, what did I do wrong? Did I say something? Is it the way I look? Is it because they want this, this, and this? Is it because I might not wear the certain clothes that they want to? It is stupid. Your mind then goes into kind of a spiral out of control.
Yeah.
And I think being honest is the best policy. Even if someone doesn't want to hear it in the long run, that's better.
I completely agree. You have to be honest about right from the start and
Yeah.
sort things out. Do you think perhaps, and I don't know you well enough to give this as an opinion and give you dating advice at this stage. I really want to help you and make you realise there are decent guys out there and the rest of it. But for the purpose of this podcast, we won't do that just now. But do you think you are tolerating this behaviour and there are warning signals early on?
Yes. I am a fixer, I think. And my parents always joke, even my sisters always say, I go for people I think need to be fixed. Not that I think they need to be fixed, but obviously somewhere in the process. And that might be why I tolerate it. I tolerate kind of certain things that they say. There may be a little red flag, and I'm just like, okay, it's only a little red flag. It's not a big one. I'll let it pass. But then another one happens. Okay, and I do unfortunately make excuses for people, because I always just want to see the best in people. And I think that is probably one of my faults, is the fact that I do try and see the best in everyone first, to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. But obviously it's not worked out in my favor.
That's not a fault. That's a blessing that you're like that. And you
Yeah.
need to reframe that in your mind that that's a bad thing. If you try and see the good in people, it can make you more vulnerable and put you
Yeah.
in situations that don't work out. But that is a wonderful thing to be, to see the good in people. And
Yeah.
if, yeah, I think you need to reframe that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's more, sorry. Yeah, I think it's more not a fault in my everyday life. I
Yeah,
think it is a very big fault though when it comes to my dating, in that sense.
yeah,
It's very much so that friends, people I meet, I will never make judgment. It's very much, and you should, and that's what I try and enforce with Pure Nature, is that you should never judge people. People have always got something internally going on, whether they're happy one day, they might be sad the next. No one knows what's going on in other people's lives. So in a day to day, absolutely. I think with my dating though, my fault is I see the good in people. I don't look at the red flags. I kind of think, oh,
yeah.
they're not a big red flag. But even obviously, then when we get to that point, I'm kind of months in, and then they're showing all kinds of red flags. But I'm now past the point that I can do. it.
Yeah, because you've committed to it. You think, well, do you know what? I'm going to accept this. It's much easier to stay in this than it is to get out. I'm going to tolerate this. And then you try and raise it, and then they think you're being picky or you're being annoying or nagging them, and they want to run away because deep
Yeah,
down, it's their insecurities and their loss, really, isn't it?
yeah,
I think.
absolutely. I'm a cat.
Well, I heard a phrase yesterday that was that even the most evil people in the world still have some good in them, and the best people in the world still have some sort of dark side to them. So
Yeah,
no one's perfect. We've all got good days and bad days. But I think if you're seeing weird things early on, then there's no point tolerating that. Just in future, I think maybe your picker is off, as they say in the trade,
uh,
a little bit. But let's talk about some of the other things that can happen to other people. May have happened to you as well in the past. So we've got other terms. We talked about situationships and things like that. We've got love bombing, which is a very, very common topic. Everyone seems to think everyone's a narcissist nowadays. But have you
yeah.
experienced that?
Yes, massively. Quite a fair few times. And I think it seems to be a common thing. I think when someone gets it in their mind that, oh, I like this person and I really want to date them, it's then it's not it's the compliments, but it's we have so much in common. I really like you. I could really see this. Oh, in a couple of months, I could really see us doing this, and oh, I can see us having a future, and oh, it's amazing, and it's white picket fences, and sometimes it's very subtle that you don't even notice it's happening until it's too late.
Mm.
But other times I've had it where, yeah, I've had full on. I've pretty much kind of 2 days into talking to someone, they said I could see myself being married to you for the rest of my life. I was like, that's really sweet. I haven't met. I don't know if you're a cat. And that's the other thing as well, catfishing. You don't know if someone behind the screen is who they really are. And I have been catfished a few times, as probably a lot of other people across the world as well. So I think that's the common denominator. I think a lot of love bombing can be very subtle. And I think that's when people start to think that people are narcissists, because as soon as if they've mastered the subtleness of it, it can come across. But sometimes I don't think people realize that they're doing it. They're just being really energetic. They've seen something that they like. They're getting on with someone. Some people might do it because they want to get an edge over other people that they might not be talking to as well. So again, it's people do it for their own reasons. People might not even know what they're doing, but it's a bizarre aspect of dating.
It's one that I see quite a lot. People rush into things too quickly because they've been told and they've been charmed all the way through this, and thinking, well,
Yeah.
the guy, my guard is up. I'm a bit nervous about this, but they're saying all the right things and they're making me the priority, all these wonderful things. 2 weeks later, it's fizzled out,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean that person necessarily is bad. Maybe they talked a good game and realised I've dug myself into a hole I can't get out of, because in the moment they felt this. It's
Yeah.
like people go on first dates, don't they? And they end up having a bit of a snog at the end of it, and then the next day, I don't really feel that, but it was a nice kiss, and that was the end of it. And they think,
Yeah.
well, they misled me.
Well, it's like Married at First Sight as well, another program. At first, they get married, it's all exciting. The first kind of honeymoon, it's very exciting. It's kind of let's have this. Oh, we're gonna have this future. When we get home, you're gonna meet my family. It's great. Then when it gets to kind of back to the real world and away from that kind of aspect of what's just happened and the whirlwind kind of romance, as it were, you get back into reality and think, actually, taking a step back now we're back to the real world. Do I like you? Do I like that trait about you? And it's kind of, they've done it in person because they've had to, because they've been put in a position to. And now when they take a step back, it's kind of, would I've done that if I'd have just met you naturally? So it happens in all aspects of even face to face, whether it be over dating sites also.
It happens a lot. All these dating shows is the same thing, like Love Island, for example. They get together, really intense, and they feel the moment, and then suddenly realise, hang on a minute, I haven't got a private chef cooking me food. I've got to get a real job now. What's going on? And then the pressure and reality comes back to it. The honeymoon period is over. That's most of these sites, isn't it? And these games, sorry, these shows overall. But then we've got other things that come up. You mentioned ghosting a few times here. That's when someone disappears. And you also mentioned, you hinted at this, zombieing. When they come back a few months later, oh, I'm really sorry, I've been so busy.
Yeah.
How you doing? You've had that a few times, have you?
I've had that a fair few times as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be a couple of months after, oh, I'm really sorry how I treated you. I had X, Y, and Z. Please forgive me. Can we go for a drink?
Yeah. And the
But
same thing happens, doesn't it?
yeah, and then you get into that process, and unfortunately, they either find something better, or they think they find something better, or they're still continuing to look for something because something in that process of ghosting me didn't work out. So they go back to kind of the beginning again.
They do. The options have run out, so they go back to
Yeah,
get an ego boost again, don't they?
yeah.
Thinking this person likes me. What do you think the difference is between maybe zombieing and breadcrumbing? Is breadcrumbing just a slower process? For those who don't know, breadcrumbing is when they give you little hints they are going to meet you and they do like you. They're just never around to actually meet you, are they?
No, no. So I think, yeah, zombieing and kind of breadcrumbing are very similar, but I think with the aspects of it, I think breadcrumbing is very much it's within the process, whereas zombieing is obviously they've ghosted you, they then come back, whether that's a month, 6 months, or a year. It could be longer depending on kind of what has or hasn't worked out for them. But I think with breadcrumbing, it's kind of that, oh, I really, really like you. I can't wait. Oh, I actually can't meet you this week. Oh, what about this week? Oh, but I can't. But just keeping you on the back burner, knowing full well that they're probably meeting X, Y, and Z to make sure, but they know they've got the chat with you, but they're just wanting to explore other options before they commit to exploring the option with you as well.
That's sadly what I used to do a long time ago myself. And so I recognised that. I used to have the options and I didn't want to upset anybody or cut them off because you never know. You want some backups, you want some reserve, and I still need the ego boost. So I used to do that. And it's a very weird thing. And I'm not proud of the fact I used to do that. So I tell my clients off for those situations. But moving swiftly on from that, I remember I tried to coin a phrase a few years ago. I think I overthought this a little bit, these technical magazine terms. I had to write for magazines and things. I coined one called Nessieing. Loch Ness Monster Nessieing. And that was where you go on a date with somebody and you have the most amazing date ever, something once in a lifetime type experience, but deep down it's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to coin that phrase. I'm mentioning that now on my own podcast. If anyone's heard the phrase Nessieing, let me know if it's ever reached anybody. Probably hasn't. I overthought that one, but it was a good one.
The time now.
It will be. I'm gonna say that more and more now to do that. Then we've got other terms. We've got eclipsing. Do you know what eclipsing is?
No, I've never heard of that one.
It's when you might get this, and there's orbiting as well, when they are pretty much on the social media, always liking your posts, always showing what they're up to, and saying look, never actually interacting with you or doing much, but they're just hanging around, just in your orbit, or they're just want you to know that they're there, that liking all your posts and commenting on it and checking in with you, but never actually making a move. I bet you get that all the time, actually.
I've had some, and it's really annoying actually because I have liked in the past some of these people, and I'm just like, make your move, and I was too scared to. I went through a stage where I was really insecure. And I've spoken about it quite a fair bit, that I had kind of reached a point of how I looked, I didn't like it, and trying to kind of love myself. And at that stage, it was a case of this guy in particular was liking my posts and just checking in every now and then and always putting fire emojis. I was like, just ask me out. And I'm like, but then again, is he doing it just in a friendly manner? So I never pursued it, but no, it does happen, and you never know though that whether or not they do have a thing for you or if they don't. And it's kind of now, men and women are quite flirty. I'm quite flirty with my male friends, and vice versa with me. So you never now know whether it's just them being friendly. And again, part of the dating thing, I think everything's just gone so complex that people now overthink everything. Shall I say this word, or shall I put this emoji? Because she might think this, or he might think this, and would that be giving off the wrong impression? So it's similar.
People overthink everything. You're absolutely right. They're thinking, what do I say next? And shall I say that? Am I being too forwards? Or no, get on with it. Life is short. If they're interested, they're interested. They'll let you know.
Yeah.
But I get weird and wonderful messages and things sometimes on Instagram sent to me, and it's very flattering and I like it to some degree, but I can't interact with it or encourage it. But I think guys that do that, guys that put the fire emojis and the hearts, they're probably going through every single woman on there, hoping that, yeah, they're thinking, yeah, that they're going to get the response of one or two of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm very much in the mindset now. And as I said to you the other day, I don't think I'm not going to go back on dating sites. I want something to happen organically. How that's going to happen, we could be here in 10 years. I might still be single, but it's very much, or if I'm on it, because obviously I'm active on Instagram, I've got the podcast. If someone does or doesn't like, well, does like me, I would rather they just be very honest and say, do you know what? I really fancy you. Do you fancy a date? Rather than the whole, oh, let's just like make a quick conversation and then it just die out. Because at the end of the day, it would be the same with me. And I feel like I should probably do it more and be a bit more forward. If I like someone, I should just say, look, I like you. Let's go on a date. But it's kind of, yeah, that borderline of how forward can one be? But also the rejection as well, because at least with the dating with Hinge, you can swipe. And 9 times out of 10, if you swipe 10 people right, and only 6 of them come back to you, you forget about the other 4. And in your mind, you probably can't even remember what they look like.
No. But what happens is men will swipe 90% of women on there.
Yes.
And women are much more selective. That's what happens. That's the problem. So
yeah.
Men on Tinder, there's so many more men than there are women on there in the first place. So it's different. But you're right. In the same way, I always recommend people, when you get a conversation going on with dating apps, have a real conversation on the telephone for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you like them, arrange a date, get on with it ASAP. No pen pal nonsense. If you don't like them, say that I'm really busy with work at the moment. Let's catch up again in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks' time, they're going to forget about you. They'll be on a date with somebody else. So don't worry about that. But I think people are pussyfooting around all the time. If you like someone, let them know.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
I've done that a couple of times in the past. And even if it's not on dating sites, on Instagram or TikTok, and I've seen someone and we're mutual friends, maybe hands up, I haven't done it, but maybe I should just be more honest and just go, do you know what? I think you're really good looking. Are you single? Let's strike a conversation and go that way.
What I'm going to say to you now, anyone that's listening on this podcast, if they follow you and they're into you, send you a message, just say hi. I'm not saying you have to date them all, but I'm saying if anyone's listening, just say hello and then see what happens. And if you're interested, you can respond back. There you go. You're going to get a whole load of different guys contacting you now. Because of
done. No. And the thing is, and I think that's the thing where I'm quite honest. If someone does ask me out, and it's not that I don't find people attractive, because I'm very much on the sense that I obviously you have to be sexually attracted to someone, but I love a personality. If someone can make me laugh and someone has that vibe, that's what matters, because unfortunately looks fade. Looks don't always stay there. So you need to like the person and have that fun and that connection. So I've spoken to people, and people have messaged me in the past and have said, should we go on a date? But because I know them already and I know how they are in a relationship and just how they are as a person, some people I don't want to lose as friends, and other people I just know that it wouldn't work out in the long term. So I've always been honest in that sense. I've just never been honest in the sense of going, yeah, let's go for a date. I've always been a little scared to, but maybe I shouldn't.
Life is too short.
Yeah.
And I think we both know that more than other people sometimes. And I think you need to realise that that's an off-camera, off podcast conversation we had, for those that wondering what's going on there. But the purpose of this is that we've no idea how long we've got. We get hit by a bus tomorrow, as they say. So get on with it and make a move. If someone's not interested, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to go and contact somebody else. It doesn't matter, do it, get on with it. But one more thing just to quickly mention in terms of these terms that it sort of comes into this is people that pretend to be similar to you. You said you can make judgments, people that you know already. But there's things like woke fishing. People pretend to be into certain causes that you're into. Or people will take pictures, I've even heard this, that seem to sort of align with your own profile. Has anyone gone that far before when they're taking pictures thinking it's purposely because you might be attracted to that one picture?
Yes, I have dated someone recently who had told me very similar things, kind of what I was into and kind of the discussions that we had, only to discover they didn't have a clue about anything. So when I topics, oh yeah, what was that again? books, things. Yeah, so it was very close. It was kind of, obviously you don't bring them up straight away, because obviously you've had that conversation first most, but then when you obviously halfway through kind of a relationship or a situationship, as it were, you then get to that point where you then realise, didn't you say you like that? Oh, did I? Oh, no. I think that must have been kind of, oh, did I say that? And they kind of try and backtrack very quickly.
Because they're telling you what they want to hear, what you want to hear. That's the reason why.
That's the thing. And I think that also comes very much into love bombing.
It does. And it comes into sort of deceiving people, intentionally or not. But I think it's normal to some degree to try and impress people and to show off a little bit on first dates. But if it goes on beyond that point and they're just making things up, it's like lying on the job interview. You're going to get caught out very, very quickly, and you're not going to get that job.
No.
No. So just to sort of finish off now, because I know you're really busy. You have given up on dating unless it's organic, you said.
Yeah.
So how are you going to meet somebody? Bear in mind that people are going out less, it's difficult, everyone works longer. I mean, this is more general advice you can give people rather than for yourself.
Yeah.
It's still directed at you because I want to help you indirectly, but beyond that point, what advice would you give anybody out there who wants to meet people organically, the old-fashioned eyes across a crowded room type thing?
I think it happens more than we actually expect. I've spoken to a few of my friends about it, who've come off dating sites, and within 2 weeks they've either been out, they've joined a new group, or it's through sports, surfing, whatever it might be, and I get a phone call going, you never guess what's just happened. I've just met somebody out, this is our third date, and it's going really, really well, and it's happened organically for them. And I think that's the thing. I think we've become a society where, because dating apps are so accessible, and you have Instagram now, and you've got all these social media sites, you just think, oh, well, we work behind a phone and we do everything, and social media, everything's done on a phone. Why can't dating? But actually, when you put the phone down, you put the camera down, you put everything else down, walk away from it, go out, whether it's walking, join groups, go out for a bar, 9 times out of 10 people will come up to you, or if they don't and you see someone across the room, go up and talk to them, make conversation. You don't have to ask them straight away, are you single? Just have that kind of open conversation, engage whether or not you could see it going somewhere, and friends to be friends. So there's actually, in hindsight, as I've taken a step back, it's made me question, do you actually need it? And now dating, especially in London, they've got these Thursday dating, where you go to the bar, you get a text, they tell you which bar it's happening in, and you've got to go, phones down, just go there to meet organically. And I think that's what we should be more doing as a society now, maybe just putting down social media, the phone, and start communicating. And it's not just actually through dating. We've become a society where it's so easy now to have a quick conversation with someone, even with your family, text them quickly rather than just picking the phone and having a conversation. So I think that's the problem. I think sometimes we just need to take a step back and date.
That's great advice. I think putting yourself in these situations, I think dating apps have their purpose, but don't just rely on that. Get yourself out to social groups, sports clubs, singles events. I've got one coming up myself on the 12th of November, if this goes out in time. Anyone listening in London, Evening with James, that's coming out, selling out very, very fast. But put yourself in the situation. I know approaching people can be really difficult, but the more you do, the more natural it becomes. And it becomes easy. All you're doing is saying hello and asking a question. And most people who are in the same situation would love you to come and say hello, even just for a couple of minutes, just to make them not be on their own anymore instead of around looking lost. So thank you so much, Danni, for joining me. I better let you go. I know we could talk for hours, but if someone wants to find out more about you, how do they do that?
It would just be a case, so you can get me on Instagram. It's Danni_beachblonde or purenature.uk, or just send me a quick TikTok, which is Pure Nature as well. But all my details are on my main Instagram account.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been really good fun. Bye for now.
Thanks, James.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.